day when I drove to, every day when I drive to work, I park in a different spot.
Oh, that's good.
Well, like when you go to class, like sitting in a different seat, that's just people.
No, impossible.
Well, the class is different. Like people get territorial. That's in the seat.
Yeah, and it's so weird. Like the seat you choose is like 3 to down to the left. Like it's a random seat, and you just always go to that.
Okay.
And you just—it's like muscle memory.
What's the psychology about that?
Comfort.
Security,
Yeah.
secure belonging, identity.
All right, thanks everyone for sticking with me. This content, I'm going to be honest, is not easy content. So, what we're talking about is basically organizational entrepreneurship, right? So, and governance entrepreneurship. So these are like totally changing, principles and ideas on how to govern any organization. Most of us are within the Belvedere family community. So I applaud you for sticking with it, because we're not thinking on the day-to-day scale. We're thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 levels up of how do you run things. Right, so that's the stratosphere we're operating on. So turn to the person next to you, and I want you to think about a policy based decision that a group that you're currently on or running, you can just be on the group, needs to make. Okay, so think about, so everything today I want to be practical. So think about something a decision that needs to be made. And if you can't think of something that you have right now, think of something that you're gonna need to make in like the next month. Okay, and then ask the person next to you, how does this information we just talked about relate, and how can that help your group make that decision? I'll give you like two minutes each, a little longer, or a minute and a half. Ready, go.
Okay. How is the decision
I'm searching for words.
Alright.
I guess it's almost May. It's not May anymore.
So it's something that you eventually I am helping drive the fall festival.
And there's a lot of decisions I feel like we need to make before
weekend.
the year
Oh,
ends.
so, yes, I had a policy decision our council is making, or
At the
actually
moment, I'm
Hashtag
in the process of transitioning.
struggling
Yeah,
with
so you
this,
should
how
go
to
there for,
implement
right?
tribal massage.
But
And so with
he's-
that,
knowing from
he's
experience,
stumbling
dancing
around
is
with
more
this.
it's kind of like
the
policy.
forte or the desire of
And
maybe more, but
with
He
that,
is
the
male
trying
selection of people.
to create
So
a community
got
input.
policy consent
He's
on set.
trying
Well, I
to
don't know
collect
if
a
it's
lot
just
of
2 people,
information.
would it still count?
Created
the
a
head
circle
or the,
at some
responsible
service for
people.
it. it.
So
It's
people
not really
making.
colonial
Yeah.
because
Maybe
people are
Just me and
giving
my
their
coach.
experience.
So it's not like you just
but
want to
know
make a decision
how
to
many
make.
guys
There's like a
how
lot of
to
organizational kind of
create,
restructure that needs to be
new ideas,
policy,
new proposals.
or
So
to
that's-
be able
so
to
apply. I'm trying to
That's
figure out how
I know.
I can help, or the council can help with that decision.
Are you in
How
that
to
situation
implement
where
tribal education.
how can you use that?
Gather
consent? Yeah, with only 2 people? I don't
Um,
know.
Wants the decisions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean that's how you
Yeah,
know, like
that's
that's
policy.
how I went about.
Yeah, we're
Should we
trying
talk
to
about
keep the
how
values
to
of this and make
solve
it
this,
it was
or
this unique thing
do
found,
we-
but also trying to incorporate something that
Uh,
will be there for people that
From
aren't
our
so
HR
Sure.
staff
Yeah.
meetings,
Maybe you need to.
followed up on those nominations. And then
Kester, are we both supposed to?
Yeah, so
I mean, we do have
that's
a
a
weird-
minute and a half. So if you haven't switched already, go ahead and switch.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
So we went forward with
I
that.
guess we have to decide.
Decisions that we need to make.
And yeah, I feel like we haven't really kind of figured out what consent
Program.
is really. It's like we kind of still go
Um,
back.
The
It's like,
Election.
council would fill the
but you know,
roles.
it's easy enough because there's not like a huge group of people we have to work with in terms of making those
Anyway, I'm
policy
planning a
decisions at the
program
moment. It's
at
like,
the
yeah,
beginning.
at most like 20
United
people.
Nations.
You know, like, hey, what do you think about this? And most people are like, that sounds like a good idea. So we just go forward with it.
I've taken total responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Well, elections.
I mean, I tried to get somebody to help me
There's not really policy
get a
decisions.
sponsor, and
Policies.
he was very good.
But
But anyway, we have to decide,
Make,
um,
yeah, make
is
different
my proposal
in terms of
working?
making decisions
Is
than
it-
the way you've done things in the past.
Um,
contentious
so.
decision.
Because the way, I mean, honestly, the way we used to make decisions in the past was that,
Um,
Anyway,
one or
we'll
two
have to
people
decide who's gonna moderate and
just
things like
Is that
that.
voting?
Hmm?
I don't know if I voted.
Who's gonna do
What kind
that?
of program is
I'm
it?
just gonna tell.
I just
It's
decided
to do
International
the
Day
rest
of
of
the
the stuff,
Family,
just
so
do it.
it's on,
So what kind, is an
So
event?
like, it's
Yeah.
a, you know, it's a
Okay.
tradition that we're trying to make.
I mean, I know who I want to,
Meetings
right?
together.
I've gone through the accent.
I'm not giving them the authority and responsibility to do the things that need to be done.
Policy decision, approve it.
So like, yeah, we're trying to transition. I feel like it does make
So what do we
it a
got?
better working environment for everyone, be more involved in decision making.
anyway, we have to make a decision.
All right, you think your
about
partner?
Who's
Great.
speaking.
Well,
Yes, I didn't hear anything.
again, the policy
Yeah, I
decision
feel
would
like
be
I'm
when to hold it, what's the scope of it, how many people to invite, what's the
There
theme,
you go.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, we need to, yeah, okay,
All right, thanks
you're
everyone.
right,
Yeah.
there needs some more discussion on that.
Anyone like to share with the group?
Well, we kind of came up with a follow-up question, actually, because Denthew's example involves a policy decision he's trying to make, but there's only two people involved in the issue. Is dynamic governance applicable when you only have a couple of people involved in the discussion, and if so, how?
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, so what I've noticed, and I thought about this, I thought, well, what is the minimum number of people
yeah.
that you would need? And you can have paramount objection with yourself, but I've noticed that 2 people, as long as if you're 2 people, you know, then you can use this, you can use these ideas, and you can make consent-based decisions with 2 people. You know, someone proposes something, they say, do you have a paramount objection? They can say, well, I don't have a paramount objection, but I do have some objections, you know, what about these things? Other person, oh, those are good ideas, yeah, let's incorporate that, let's modify it so it looks like this. Now what do you think? Looks great, let's do it. It's faster, but yeah, you can still do it, definitely.
So it could work in marriage.
Yes.
Exactly, it does.
It's great in marriage. You know, I
Actually,
literally
that's
a
true.
week ago,
Yeah.
my wife and I are having a pretty, and I didn't say, honey, I'm using, because she knows that I'm really into this, and that would, you know, that would be good. But, you know, I said, okay, and we're talking about, you know, our 7-month-old daughter and how to get her to sleep on her own. And she wanted to try to do it a certain way, and I had like a paramount objection, so I tried for like 10 minutes. And I was like, her paramount objection is bigger than mine, so I'm gonna back down. So I said, okay, honey, can we try this for 3 weeks and then reevaluate it when we get there? She said yes. Right, so then my paramount objection was met in terms of, I don't think this is a good idea, but I'm willing to try it for 3 weeks, and then we'll see when we get there. So yes, marriage is great. Great.
Yes.
That aspect of putting time into it is really, really crucial
Yes.
and valuable. It's a great lesson, dynamic government. Because so many times decisions are felt like, this is the way we're gonna do it forever. Yeah, exactly. And,
Writing it in stone,
yeah,
you know, on King Arthur over there.
maybe that would help Dunphy with your policy that, you know, if you have a objection with just 2 people or another, that if you said something like, well, okay, for just a time limit, let's try that. You know, where they can agree to your way for.
No, yeah, no, it was just more of thinking of an ideas and stuff.
Uh,
But yeah, no, I think at the time is something that is very, because it doesn't, set it in stone. There's always then room for, it's like this now, but in case it doesn't work, we can always
Right.
fix it.
It's one of the reasons I love this whole system and method, because it's continually improving. Right, so we're not stuck. So the council meetings, 80%, and I mentioned this during the last training, 90% of the way we run council meetings are based on the closing rounds from our meetings. People said, oh, you know, this isn't really working, let's try something else. Right, so I didn't have the perfect meeting format, you know, but it evolved out of the feedback from everyone. So that continually improving is very helpful. What else from your pair chairs? policy decisions that you need to make, how this content can be helpful, any challenges that you're currently facing, or victories. You say, oh, this is good. Yes, something like that? You look like you got.
Yeah, sure. Okay. A policy decision. Well, it's not like one decision we have to make, but I'm in the process of like transitioning out of my role as youth pastor to the next person, and within that, I want to have it be like, a smooth transition and kind of like set a foundation for next year, and which I tried, implementing a lot of these kind of strategies, like a lot of these kind of principles of dynamic governance into how we do things. But I'm finding out this year that like in order to have really successful kind of semi-autonomous circles, you have to have people that are capable or like that are confident in those circles.
Right.
And like that's like that's more of like a human resource problem more than like a systematic problem, I think. But that's one, I guess, thing that we're working on. Like how to use our resources more efficiently so that these circles can be more autonomous, I guess.
Right.
For resources, you mean people?
Yeah, like human resources.
Okay, gotcha.
Like people with experience and like confidence.
That's okay.
Okay. Maybe one more. Maybe from Dad and Lynn.
Well, so from my experience in my community, is the biggest challenge right now how to do tribal messiahship, how to form a policy where people can feel confident and committed to go and practice it. And I can see different attempts, the pastors trying to create a community input or forums, but it's not yet at the stage where it's ready for a proposal. But going to that step, that I think the dynamic governance will help forming proposals, come from all these different opinions and inputs.
Outreach is something that everyone has many different opinions on. So it's a great opportunity for, and maybe outreach is even the wrong word. A lot of people would say for tribal messiahship. So tribal messiahship, outreach, that whole area, there's a lot of opinions. So a great opportunity for using some of these ideas to come to an actual conclusion. And on that note, I want to bring up something that was kind of said earlier. Is like, well, when you have all these people, how do you make decisions? You don't make decisions with 60 people, right? You make them with the people that the community elects to represent them. So this is going to kind of bring us into semi-autonomous circles. All right. So before I get to that, the last point in this one, and this is a major. This is in some places this is explained as the fourth principle of sociocracy. Elections. So elections within your circle of who is the facilitator, whatever roles you have, if it's chair or vice chair or a scribe, how do you run those elections? That is a key idea, and we don't have time to talk about it today. All right, so that'll be in a level 3 training, if you will. But the process on how to do that is on that cheat sheet that everyone got. And I can send out the link to that cheat sheet again after this meeting. All right. So semi-autonomous circles, and this is going to kind of touch on some of those ideas that were just coming up. How do you make decisions if you've got all these different opinions and everything? And then Toyo's question was like, well, we have a little bit of a staffing issue. We don't have enough qualified people, or how do we select the lower circle members, right? So. Semi-autonomous circles. So typically, the way it works is there's a top circle, and I'll talk about this double linking after this, and then there's a general or an operational circle, and then there's, then you start getting into your more detailed. Orders, you got 1, 2, 3. All right, so So when you start, whatever your, say youth ministry, for example, you've got Toyo up here with his top circle and his board. And oftentimes, if they haven't yet set up a board and then an operational circle, typically this will be in here. So I'm guessing that Toyo and his team are also the operational, they're overseeing all the day-to-day things. So we'll just start here, pretending that this isn't here. So semi-autonomous circles is that this team of people, then selects, this person to start this subcircle. Okay, so they elect this person, call them person A. All right, so now, and one of the keys here is that each circle is given authority for their own area of responsibility. They have a specific mission statement and written description of responsibilities, so it is clear what the parameters of their job is. And the keys are to make this work. This is not new, right? So there are many organizational charts and things like that. The key here is to give this circle true authority over what their written mission statement is. And what happens when you do that is that's what creates the ownership and the creativity and the investment. Because what happens a lot of times, especially in our community, is you get volunteer burnout. And there's two types. There's one type is when 8 people are doing everything. There's another type when somebody works really hard in just one area, and then someone above them swoops in and says, "Wow, you're doing a great job. Here, let me help you." And they take it over. Or they say, I really don't like what you're doing here, and then they squash it and they step on it. Okay, so giving true autonomy, based on the values and principles of the organization, right? So that's why you have semi-autonomous. So the flip side is that these are not wild cards. They're not operating in silo. They're still underneath your general organizational structure, and they're working towards the overall mission statement of your organization or your group within the organization, right? So we have Belvedere Family Community. We've got the council and everything, but then we have youth ministry. So the council, and then we get down to youth ministry, and then they have all their subcircles. Well, that's the beauty of the subcircles, is you can go crazy. You can go as deep as you need to with what are the specific needs of that part of the organization, right? So now, why are these circles and not an individual? So these are circles because that allows the opportunity for feedback within the circle. Right? So you're trusting this semi-autonomous group of people to fulfill their own responsibilities. You give them, the mission statement is in consultation with the circle above them, but you give them power over how to do that. Right? So the mission statement clarifying that's they need to check in with above them, but they have power over the how. And then this feedback loop, that's why you structure this as circles rather than in a business. You have your CEO, and then you have CFO, and it goes down through individuals, right? But that doesn't allow for this circular process within the policies that they're making because I'm great. Sometimes they try to reach out and get feedback, and I'm going to get into that actually in double linking the organizational feedback. But within that level, that's why we have circles, not individuals. Okay. So what this does, having semi-autonomous circles, is this involves as many people as possible in the policy decision-making process. So it increases your stakeholders from your 10 people at the top to everyone. Right? So everyone has an opportunity to affect the policies and the structural elements of the organization itself. And some people might not think on those terms, but you know, that's essentially what they're doing when they're saying, okay, we're having snacks after Sunday service. Let's try to make sure we do that every single Sunday. That's a policy decision, right? So now you've given that authority to the people who are doing the work. Usually 4 to 8 people is a good number for these circles, what I've seen for an operational circle. And when you start to get above 8, it just becomes just more difficult. And number one was scheduling meetings. It's probably the hardest part of leadership, is getting everyone in the same room at the same time. So, yeah, 4 to 8 people is what I've noticed. Okay. So what are the elements of a good circle? We already talked about clear mission statement, aim, things like that. Clearly defined roles with written descriptions. Right? And you need those written descriptions to do elections. Part of the election process is reading the qualifications and the responsibilities for that role. Right? So you need those things. Okay, what are the different roles? For a circle, you need a facilitator, someone who runs the meetings. The facilitator does not necessarily have to be the operational leader. You can have someone else. On the Sunday Service Committee, for example, Denthi is the operational leader. He makes the day-to-day decisions. And Dominic is the facilitator. So he facilitates the policy decisions. And he's elected. And the operational leader is selected by the circle above them, right? So this person A is the OL, the operational leader. And the facilitator can be elected by the circle. All right? And then also you need a scribe to take notes during meetings. And the scribe can be the same person as the administrator. And honestly, these are the bones, but your team can do it however you need to do it.
Right.
But it is important to make sure you have someone that's taking notes and things like that, during meetings. All right, so those are some of the key roles. Before I get, and then we're going to get to this next, and we're running out of time. Any quick questions on all that? Double linking?
Just to say clearly again, what you're saying here is that to start a circle, the general or top circle would elect the operational leader for the circle you're trying to create.
Right.
And it would be up to that person to recruit people for the circle, and then within that circle hold their own elections to fill the necessary positions within that circle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good example of that was the mission statement creation, where each table was like a semi-autonomous circle, and each table had to choose their facilitator and, but what was interesting about that event was that there were situations where you did employ majority rules, so maybe that's an advanced topic.
Right, and this is what I mentioned to Chris during the break, is that just because we're using consent-based decision-making for policies, if an issue comes up and for whatever various reasons the group decides, they can consent to using a different decision-making process. They can consent to the head pastor making the decision. They can consent to the group making a majority rules vote. It just depends on the nature of the decision. And what the group feels is best. So when I was running the mission statement creation, I made an operational decision about how to do it, and just looking at the amount of time that was involved, we didn't have time for everyone to make consent-oriented decisions. We had, the whole effort was in getting 40 people there, so we did consent, within the groups, and then we did voting when it came to the whole group. Alright, so we're going to move on to double linking, just to keep moving here. So the typical flow of communication in an organization is like that. Gerard Endenberg, the whole reason he invented this is his family handed him a company. And they said, okay, you run it. So he was an electrical engineer, and he did systems analysis. He said, so he looked at the organization, and he said, you know, actually that's not there. He said, this organization, this structure is terrible. There's no feedback loop. Because if something goes wrong here, this person won't know about it. So he rewired and hardwired feedback into the structure of the organization. So he started doing this. So instead of having information going down, he had double linked circles. So the circle above would select the operational leader. And then one of the roles on a circle, I didn't tell this one yet, but is the representative. Okay, and this person represents the circle up. So this representative is on both circles. So they are part of this circle above them, and their job is to represent these people below. So an example, this company that Gerard Endenberg started about 10 years after he started doing these ideas, the whole shipping industry in the Netherlands collapsed. And a lot of their, like 40% of their work in the shipping industry, so they had all these electrical engineers who were about to lose their jobs. So then we had Joe, who was, you know, electrical guy down here at the bottom. He said, I don't want to lose my job. I have an idea. So he proposed to his circle that let's all get trained as salespeople. You know, we have all these, we have great knowledge of the product. You know, we know what we're doing. We just get 3 months training, send us out there, we'll get enough work to keep our jobs and save the company. So they said, oh, that's a great idea, Joe. And they elected him to go up to the next circle. And then they also agreed, and they elected him. So Joe went all the way up to the board with the same proposal, and they agreed. They said, yes, we think this is a good idea. And because of this structure and the double linking, that's what allowed the information to go upwards. There was a structure in place for his feedback to go up, and they trained the 1,000 workers as salespeople. They sent them out, and they got enough business because they were motivated. They didn't want to lose their jobs, and they turned the company around, and they saved the company. So anyways, that's a success story. Okay. Good. Now, have you ever tried giving feedback to your boss? Right? It's not natural unless you have an amazing, humble boss who is really good at setting up systems to give feedback but still maintain their authority. That's super delicate because it's not set up for that, right? So this system, still allows for the management hierarchy because you need that. You still have operational leaders who it's clear that okay, they're in charge of running the show when the show needs to be run. But you also have your representative who is part of the next circle above you, and you have rather than everyone in the company talking to the one HR person, they can talk to the representative who they work with on a day-to-day basis. And this person's not overburdened with all these requests for interpersonal issues and whatever else your HR person has going on. Right? So this allows for that natural feedback. Okay, that is the content for today. So we have, we're going to take a few minutes here for questions and discussion, and then we're going to jump into some of the next steps. Question?
Yeah, the person A here who is elected by the general circle to go and start a new circle down there, sub circle. I mean, is he or could he be the same person that then becomes that representative to the general circle,
No, these have to be two different people.
And why is that?
Just because it is, and that's actually a very good point. So these need to be two separate people, because you just have a natural conflict of interest in between the two different roles. They're two different, diametric purposes. Yeah, good point.
What's the name of the person that comes from the upper,
Operational leader,
operational?
and then the representative. An operational leader can be the same person as the facilitator. So for example, on the council, the chair effectively right now is both. I'm the operational leader and the facilitator. I think that could be changed at some point in the future.
Just a comment that it's interesting that the founder of this was an electrical engineer, and father also studied electrical engineering.
Started in the 1970s.
The whole concept of give and take, and
Yeah.
I think it's interesting they come up with similar approaches.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at this, I was just like, boom. I have a lot of quotes about head-wing governance, and Shibata's talking about, capitalism is not right, and neither is socialism, but somewhere in the middle, there is something that works. So I agree, maybe this needs to be tweaked a little bit, but it's the best thing that I've found in order to actually achieve results, but also have every person be happy doing it. Because what this distributes the authority and the time and investment and everything. It puts it out there. And what I've noticed is that, say like Toyo's struggling finding people. Say Toyo's he's found this one person for his circle, but they're struggling for these other areas. This makes it very clear, what is the mission of this committee. And if you don't have enough people, there's a leadership vacuum. Anytime there's a leadership vacuum and someone comes to you and says, hey Toyo, this is going really poorly, you say, great, I have a spot for you. So either they join or they stop complaining every time. Right? So it just adds clarity because you can't tackle everything. Right? Toyo and his team, they can't do all this stuff. But they know it's a need because they're aware of all the needs, but they can't do all of them. So this makes it just very clear if someone comes and says, hey, this is the problem, say, good, we have a structure in place for that. We'd love for you to join. Yeah.
One other quick question about majority rules. You said in the beginning that you've never encountered it, but maybe it might be a situation where a group has to remove somebody.
Yeah.
Isn't that majority rules?
No, you would have a consent-based decision without that person present at the meeting.
But that person doesn't get to be involved.
Right, correct.
That doesn't seem fair. It seems like that person should be able to address if everyone agreed by consent that they're going to kick this person out, that person should have a chance to voice their paramount objection to that or their agreement with that or whatever.
Sure. I mean, when we get into hypotheticals, I always say we never have as much information as you would have then as we have right now. So the group can totally customize it to however they do it. However, the ultimate end decision, maybe after this person has been given an opportunity to voice, hey, people aren't dumb, they're going to know if the group is thinking about kicking them out, then you can either do it open or you can do it one-on-one, say, hey, we have some really grave concerns. And then after that person has an opportunity to speak, right, because you don't want to just kick them out without giving them a chance. Unless it's so bad that you need to. So it really depends on that specific circumstance. But the ultimate decision, you don't need that person as part of the final decision, consent-based decision. That's an extreme case. I've never seen that have to happen.
Just an anecdotal experience or footnote to this question. In our council, we have one or even more than one persons that do not really underwrite this governance, so they prefer majority vote. But, so in some situations, it became a very big obstacle almost. I say almost, because I think the key is that person to give that person enough time, or be patient enough, or have this person put as much objections on the table as he wants to, or she wants to. And then after we did that, actually finally, that person said, okay, I don't want to create a constitutional crisis, I'm fine. I have no paramount objection. I have objections, but I can still get along with the other council members, what they decide, so. That's an experience, but it took extra time and patience to have that be possible, to express objections.
Yeah.
But it may not work all the time, I don't know, it's also possible.
Got a few more minutes for questions.
Well,
comments?
that is one point that you're bringing up, which seems to be in opposition to a need that is often present in meetings, which is your time constraints.
Mm.
You're mentioning it takes extra time and it takes patience, but that is battling with the need to, you only have 2 hours for the meeting. And, obviously this puts, presumably, pressure or, responsibility on the facilitator to decide how much is enough,
Correct.
when is too much, and when to move on, when to stick,
Right.
it's,
And I would say that it really helps to clarify, is this an operational meeting or is this a policy meeting? And to not mix the two, or to have them very clear. So the first half of the meeting is operational, we're going through, an operational leader says, hey, can you do this, great, sounds good. Okay, switch, now we're in the policy part of the meeting, and we're doing that, take a little bit more time for the bigger decisions that we need. And I would even I would put to you all that this saves time in the long run. The long run could be even 1 week. In the short time, it might take an extra 20 minutes to address, that one person's paramount objection. But because after the meeting, they are part of the ultimate decision, then you don't have all this energy going against or discord within the group afterwards, and it saves incredible. Susan Broachery, a month ago, she said, Kester, I am so amazed that our community has gone through so many changes since Reverend Compton left. We had a new pastor, and then Engine was going to come, and all these things up and down. And as she's the HR person for our nation, she's I've seen some communities just have all these little blow-ups, and I haven't seen any of that. And I said, well, why? Because of the process that we've been using at the council that discusses those major decisions. And so it saves time, in the long term. Long term could be a month, could be a few weeks. That would be my claim. Any last thoughts?
Just another footnote. One of the Songwars preparations that I was involved with, I think this is another point, the element of compassion and love that is genuine to our tradition and our education thought and European thought. It actually helps this process. And when the Songwar, for example, there was an operational decision, the pastor said, okay, we need a Songwar committee, we need an institution, that a group of people that always is ready to help. But practically speaking, there was none. So, but I was in the lay ministry helping out in a particular situation with a family that someone happened. So, I didn't tell anyone again, this is dynamic governance, but I assembled a group and we discussed the roles. We went around the table with rounds, what needs to be done and who wants to do what, and having maximum input. So everything fell into place. People who had compassion with their family, came together, and in the process, we organized that somewhat. And this circle was totally autonomous. In other words, the pastor had no input. He didn't need to. I mean, but by the way, he was out
Other
of,
than, I don't wanna do it.
No,
You
well,
wanna do it.
he was actually not there. He was physically in Las Vegas, so he actually,
Right.
it happened just before he went. Anyways, he had to go.
Right,
But we took it over. We prescribed roles for him. Then when he came back, he just had to jump in and do it.
right.
But this sort of was autonomous, and the pastor trusted us with that.
Yeah.
And it can work that you don't have to always appoint somebody to do something, but it can come from the community. The community can organize itself
Right,
to do that.
yeah.
And in this way, and also the good thing is, what I learned, that input can come. There was a district pastor involved.
Concluding thought.
Yeah, the district pastor, they all came into a structure. Now, we had a point person, and they were all felt included. But it was a maximum of equal input creating that dynamic, and we produced a good result.
Yeah. I like your point about self-organizing. This whole design is based on systems thinking and electrical engineering, and systems thinking is based on nature.
Yeah.
So in nature, everything is self-organizing. If there's a need, it's met. God doesn't have to tell the bug to go eat that tree so it can break down. Like, it's all organic, and it happens because the need is there, and people step in to fill the need. Because the structure allows for that authority, that ownership to be there. Okay, everyone stand up, please. And just take a stretch. A little estate change. I was feeling the content tiredness. It's a lot of ideas. All right. Give a high five to the person next to you. All right. Joy. And just grab a quick seat. We're almost done. 10 more minutes. You can stop. All right. So I'm gonna make a claim, and I want to ask you guys to tell me if it's right or wrong.